It's so wonderful to have you guys here. I so appreciate you guys making the time. I know how valuable your time is. Um, when you are doing this workshop with me, ultimately it's mostly going to be lecture based. So have your notebook and your pen. I have a range of colors. Have your notebooks and your pens. And I don't know if you're like me, I find if I sit on a sofa or in a chair, I actually find it really hard to learn. So like get comfy on the floor with your bolsters and your blocks. You're not going to move a huge amount today, but I think being on the floor, I don't know about you, but for me, it's just a little bit easier to change position. And yeah, if I'm not too comfortable, I change position more frequently. So make sure you get yourself set up with your notebooks and pens. And I also just wanted to flag that what we're going to be covering today is foundational knowledge. And I'm actually going to do a series of these free workshops for you guys so that we can build on this foundational knowledge, because I really want you guys to understand the key concepts of what we're discussing. So for some of you, the content that we're going to be revising today might be a revision, okay? But that's a positive thing, because sometimes we need reminding of certain things. But for some of you, a lot of it might be new. Okay, so I just wanted to flag that just in case maybe you get to the end and you're like, oh, I already knew all this. That is actually a really big positive. Hey, Thalia. Hello, Sasha. Guys, another thing that I want to say is basically I've been doing these free workshops now for about 2 years. I run them like every 6 months. And usually they're just a free workshop for the sake of doing a free workshop. But today is actually a very special celebration, because for the last 3 years, I have been working on putting together my anatomy course for yoga teachers. And as I was learning more, I was like, I have to reshoot these videos. So I had to shoot and reshoot and reshoot so many times. My poor videographer friend who helped me, I mean, he was just like, we need to wrap this up, Celeste. So much love has gone into it. And today is finally the day that I'm launching it. So I'm going to tell you about that later. But in the meantime, we are going to get started on all the amazing content. Hello, everyone. Hello, Gaia. Hey, Deirdre. Oh, amazing to see so many of you here. Okay, so Q&A. Oh, will we get the slides at some point? Thank you for reminding me. If those of you who stay to the end, I am going to share a link for the references and the most relevant slides. So there's not going to be a lot of fluffy slides, just the slides that you need. But please stay to the end to get that, okay? It's going to be a little present for you guys, who are here live, because I know you've carved out time to be here with me and it means a lot. And second, I want to make sure that you guys get the references. So you've got those two things coming your way as a gift. More people are popping in. Hello from Belgium. Hey, Anik. Okay, guys, I'm going to start my share screen now, and we are going to jump straight into the content. Can you guys see that okay? Fantastic. Okie dokie. So, this workshop is going to be all about expanding your knowledge on pain and injury recovery. And as I just mentioned, some of it might be a little bit of a recap for you guys, especially if you've been in this game for a little while. For some of you, it's going to be really new information, and I'm going to keep building on this with you guys as we go through the years together, okay? One thing I just want to flag before we jump in is how unbelievable it is that we have formed this community. I mean, almost 4,000 people signed up to this webinar, which shows that there's this real strong network of people that care about learning. And honestly, from my heart to yours, I cannot tell you what that's done for me as a person. Because I don't know if you found the same, but there is a lot of, not that there's anything wrong with this, but there's a lot of aesthetic information out there on how to look a certain way, and that stuff's fantastic. It needs to be out there, but at the same time, my heart always hungers and yearns for more. So thank you guys for being in this community, because honestly, it does so much for my soul. So some of you guys might know me and some of you might not. And so who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, first of all, for you guys who don't know me, my name is Celeste. And maybe you don't want to listen to me. Here are some reasons why maybe you want to think twice. First of all, I'm not the most academically gifted person. I really struggled at school. I found reading, writing, and arithmetic exceptionally difficult. And I've never been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but all my friends had a good laugh when the other day I was like, I've been reading about ADHD and I'm wondering if I should get checked out. They all burst out into laughter. I've known of dyslexic since university. I dropped out of school at 16 and I went to work in McDonald's. And it was actually a bit of a tough time for me around then. I didn't have a really amazing vision for the future, and I kind of got involved in the wrong crowd, and you know what it's like. You start experimenting with all sorts of substances which are not helping set you up for a bright future. But in the end, things did start to click, okay? And I'm very proud that despite all of these challenges, I actually managed to get into one of the best physiotherapy schools in London. And that was such an amazing experience for me, because what it enabled me to do is actually start working with people and start to really see a shift. For example, some people had amputations, we worked in pediatrics, cystic fibrosis, some people that I've supported, a lot with herniated discs, sacroiliac dysfunction. I mean, here are just some of the wild things that I have supported people with in their rehab journey. I've also been teaching anatomy to yoga teachers for a number of years, and the feedback has been really heartwarming and absolutely incredible. And finally, I want to give a massive shout out to the functional neurology course that I'm studying with at the moment called Z Health, because they've massively influenced the way I teach yoga, the way I help my clients, and the way I teach anatomy. One of my clients actually was very kind. She passed on a little testimonial to share with you guys. I'm not going to try and claim we've solved all of her chronic pain issues by any stretch of the imagination, but it has been really heartwarming to see that finally there was a bit of hope, because up until that point, a lot of her chronic pain was kind of put down to the fact that she wasn't working on her strength. But she was, you know, they were like, oh, you need to strengthen this and you need to strengthen that. And she was in the gym doing her best. And she said the chronic pain actually got so bad, she was either going to work or just going to bed. It just was so overwhelming. And in just 4 sessions, we started to see a shift. And I wanted to share this with you because I think a lot of times you see me lip syncing on Instagram, but I am actually working with real people behind the scenes as well. Now, as a yoga teacher, I've had famous people in my classes. I've taught billionaires on yachts in Monaco, the employees of Walt Disney, the passengers of Heathrow Express, and I've had that widely documented in press. I've worked with the VP of Google. I've published a book. I've been busy. And the reason I wanted to share this stuff with you is because honestly, hand on my heart, when I look back, the happiest memories that I can possibly remember in my career to date has been teaching my studio classes. And a lot of times you guys who are maybe on this call, I know I do this with other people as well, is we look at what other people are doing and we're like, oh, geez, I am not doing enough, or maybe I'm missing out. And I just wanted to say, hand on my heart, if you're doing your studio classes, or if you are working with people one-on-one, you're already doing the best of the best. Because hand on my heart, when I look back, my happiest memories are working with people in a yoga studio. And the only thing that trumps this happy memory is teaching anatomy to yoga teachers. One of my amazing students that learned anatomy with me, Caroline Inspired, she actually tried to gather up all the anatomy information herself from lots of places. And then she was like, I'm going to learn with Cel. And she felt that it really equipped her and it really started helping her to create that shift in her students. So if you're out there, big love to you, Caroline. Guys, I'm going to open the chat box up and I want you to tell me, do any of you guys feel that it's a little bit overwhelming? Who feels that like you're not quite sure where to start with this whole realm of anatomy and injuries, and then there's rehab, and then there's pain? Is anyone with me? Yes, lots of yeses coming through. Oh my goodness. It's a minefield out there, right? Okay, 1,000,000%. Guys, what about imposter syndrome? you've actually spent a lot of time and money learning stuff, and then when it comes to actually implementing, you're just like, not saying anything. Yes to both. Okay, amazing. I just wanted to flag, I've been in this game since 2005, and I still have these voices in my head. In a way, I believe imposter syndrome is a positive and a negative thing. Positive in the sense that, guys, you know, the best people that I have learned with, they never claim to know it all. They always say things like, yeah, you know, I guess what we used to teach is blah, blah, blah. And I really had to change what I was doing. And current research these days shows X, Y, and Z. And that's different to what we used to say. So in that sense, questioning yourself can be a really positive thing. But where imposter syndrome can maybe be a negative thing is when it stops you from implementing what you know now. Can I get a holla if you guys are like, yeah, okay. So if you know how to teach something, let's say breathing, don't let your imposter syndrome get the better of you, because there is a lot of value in what you know now. And then finally, does anyone feel that you want to learn all the stuff, but there's a lot? And obviously that's overwhelmed with where to start, but also just the time. You've got the family, you've got to keep your house looking in a reasonable order, you've got to keep yourself looking in a reasonable order, and you've got to earn money. Yes, okay, yeah. It's a lot, guys. And I just wanted to say, I totally hear you. And just before we get into the juicy content, I wanted to offer you this, because it's actually going to help you when it comes to knowing all the information. I want you guys to imagine a timeline, okay? And in the timeline, there are lots of little camps. And in this timeline, you have been studying, I don't know, maybe you've done a 200-hour and you've been learning the power of breathing, and you've read a couple of books about it and maybe meditation. So you're in this camp. Now you're gonna take your binoculars, you're gonna look ahead, and you're gonna see lots of other camps with lots of different information in the future. But I want you to also take a moment to take stock of what information is behind you. And I want to give you this solution to all three issues. You're in your little camp, you're loving life, you know what you know. I want you to be brave and start implementing what you know. I want you to practice what you know, because that's going to solve a big portion of the time issue. Because once you practice and you get mileage, you get confidence, then you're going to go, oh, this is boring now. Oh, what's in the next camp? What's over here? And I'm not saying you have to learn everything in the camp in one day, but maybe be like, okay, I'm just going to do little bite-sized chunks. I'm just going to absorb a little bit at a time. And then you're in the new camp, and how do you get good at being here? Is you practice. You start to practice. So this is going to improve the negative aspects of imposter syndrome. It's going to help you realize it's a process. None of us are at the end. Nobody. And it's going to help you just get some mileage so that the time issue is less of a factor. Guys, jump into the chat box and let me know if you agree with this. Right now is probably the most challenging time for our industry, because we used to be in studios all together, but then where did everybody go? Of course, Zoom. But now, nobody's on Zoom. And I don't know about you, but the studios, I don't see them being as busy as they once were. Does anyone feel like we're kind of in this weird no man's land? Yeah, it's a very challenging time for our industry. And I wanted to acknowledge that it's not just you going through this, my loves. All of us are in this weird thing where our students haven't come back fully. But I wanted to offer you some hope, because they are going to come back. Because I guarantee they're going to remember a time in their past how good yoga made them feel. It's guaranteed. But they're going to come back different and going to really need your skills and attention. And they're going to need you to have evolved in your little camp, next one. And using that information, you need to stand out in the marketplace. So keep evolving, my loves. And that's why we're here, right? That's why we're all together. So 3 things you're going to accomplish today. 1, you're going to learn about the neuroscience of pain. And that's going to give you a more holistic view of the human body, I believe. 2, some strategies to help you manage people's threat. That's going to make sense later, but I want your motto at all times to be, how can I reduce someone's threat? That is your motto by the end of this workshop. And then finally, I'm going to get you guys to identify the camp you're in and give you strategies on how to move on to the next one. Are we ready to rock? Just want to also say these are strategies I've been using with success. Remember, everyone's different. Whatever you try, it's unique to you. And that's powerful and beautiful and special. So hold on to what you know and what works for you. This, what I'm going to share with you, is only one way. And if I had to give you one piece of advice, is question what I teach you, what everyone else teaches you, even what you think yourself. And also just a reminder, stay to the end. There's a free gift for you guys who are going to hang out with me. And this quote, I think everyone should write down and read 1,000,000 times a day, if you have that much time. This is how humans are. We question our beliefs, except for the ones we really believe in. And those we never think to question. Back pain, weak core. Knee pain, valgus knees. Neck pain, they've been at their computer too long. Now, are these statements completely false? No, there is an element of truth in them. But are they the full truth? And if we've maybe been conditioned that every time someone has back pain, it's because of a weak core, we might be missing many other pieces of the puzzle. So this one is about not just questioning who you learn from, but even questioning what you think to be true. Not to the point where it makes you unshaky, but to the point where you have this healthy curiosity. And it makes you know, you know what, I'm really open to changing what I used to believe. So I'm going to open up the chat box again, guys. Tell me this. Who finds pain confusing? Has anyone either had chronic pain or dealt with it themselves? And does anyone feel like one day you wake up and you're like, you work with someone with chronic pain, they wake up and they're like, yeah, I feel amazing today. I haven't got any pain. And then the next day they've done all their exercises, they've meditated, they've eaten, and they're just like, I'm ruined today. Yes, it's very confusing. It's very confusing. Okay, amazing. So let's take a look at what happens in general. I'm not talking just yoga teachers, I'm talking us as physios. We all do this. Someone comes to you, put this down for a sec, and they go like this to you. It hurts right here. Oh, just right there, right there. It's very sore. Now, looking at Skelly really quick, I'm going to open the chat box. What structures do we automatically assume if someone points right there? What are we straight away thinking? Yes, SI joint. SI joint. Yeah, some say sciatica, some are saying muscle. Ligaments, what else? Muscles, sciatica, QL, glutes. Yeah, sometimes we automatically make an assumption. But let's do this. You can be my helpers. We have, what are these two, not what are they called, but what is this? What is this? All of this. This whole thing is made up of a B, bone, bone. And then what surrounds the bone to make it glide? We have C. We've got the stuff over it and makes it nice and smooth, and it can, I'll tell you, yeah, you got cartilage. And then what wraps around the joint so that it can stick together, you got this beautiful sock-like structure that, yeah, you got ligaments, AKA the, oh gosh, my brain. The ligaments form the sock-like structure called the capsule. And inside the capsule there's fluid. What's that fluid called? Synovial fluid, excellent. And then, like you guys have said, there are what makes the joint move? What makes the joint move is we got all these muscles. You guys have listed them out because you guys are bloody brilliant. You've got lots of different muscles. But what makes the muscles move? What innervates them? What innervates the muscle? The nerves. Yeah, and the nerves come from where? Where do the nerves first come from? Almost before we get to the brain, we've got the spinal cord, and then, yeah, you're right, it comes from the brain. But then what do we have for protection? What do we have for protection? We got fat. Yes, fat. And then what do we have on top of the biggest organ in the body? We have skin. Now you tell me, what structure was giving that person pain? Yes, Donna summed it up beautifully with one word. It could have been any. Now look, I don't want to diminish what physios do. Physios have diagnostic tools and tests, but they're not always accurate. Sometimes what we do is we do all our tests and we're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's going on. Yeah, perfect picture in my mind. We've put our blinkers on and then we start treating people. And then you know what happens? They don't get better. I know what you need. You need a scan. And guys, I have to say this. In the research and the literature, scans are very useful. Scans are good, they work. But there's a growing body of research to show that scans aren't always accurate. Scans are not always accurate. And the other thing they do is, if you're an 8 out of 10, oh, it hurts 8 out of 10 today. I show you a scan, you're like, ooh, I'm 9. They increase people's pain perception. Pain is subjective and it increases your perception when you look at scans. So they're a double-edged sword, and I'm not against them, but I need us to take it with a grain of salt. A big Himalayan pink rock. And who has found that actually once you've started digging deeper with your people, with your own body, the root cause of pain is often really far removed from the area of pain. I'll give you an example. I was working with this guy with bad shoulder issues. He had done a lot of soft tissue work at a physio, lots of deep tissue release, a lot of mobility training and strength work with all resistance stuff. So he did a lot on the shoulder. And his pain level was very high and he was really struggling. And so he came to me and said, please help me. I just really need someone. I was like, of course, let's try and figure stuff out. So we started doing a few assessments. And in the end, the thing that dropped his pain from a 9 to like a 1 was this little scar on his elbow. And I took something sharp. Where's a pencil? Just imagine I have a pencil. This is a lip balm. And we just poked it. And his pain went down from a 9 to a 1. But the other funny part of the story is he decided what was right for him was to get a scan. And the scan revealed that he had this weird bony thing growing and touching on soft tissue. And if he didn't get that bone removed, he was going to be in pain for the rest of his life. So he was told. And he was like, what shall I do? Shall I go? I was like, absolutely. Look, you got to do what's right for you. Go and get the surgery. It sounds like you need it. But he couldn't because it was Christmas. So he went on holiday. And I messaged him while he was there. I was like, how's your shoulder doing? And are you okay? Because I know you're on holiday. You couldn't get your operation. Pain was gone. Crazy. How pain works in the body is different to how we've been led to believe. Pain is often a very poor indicator of what's going on for someone. One, someone could be riddled with injuries, properly riddled with injuries, and they've got no pain. They've got like all these scans showing all the stuff and their biomechanics is weird and they've got scoliosis and oh my gosh, and you've got a herniated disc and how's your pain? 0, I'm good. Like I'm just, doing my thing. I don't move as good as the other kids, but I'm out there living. And then you've got this other group of people, their tissues are good and their form is good and they're rocking, guys. They're absolutely rocking life. But they're suffering with pain. And then there's a third group. Tell me if you can relate to this group. I know this is me. You had an injury a really, really, really long time ago, and it's definitely healed, but you still today get pain. Does anyone have that weird stuff going on? Yeah, it's so strange. So why are all these weird things happening to people? Please write this down in your notebooks. Pain is exclusively in your brain. A lot of you guys were writing brain in your chat. It's because you've been kind of communicating with me. You understand a lot about the human body already. Pain is in your brain. And the reason we know this, the reason we kind of started thinking this as a community is because of people with amputations. They could feel their limb, they could feel pain, but they didn't have a limb. It was wild. But please be careful, because as soon as I say this, I always have one of two things happen. Someone will go, oh, that monkey mind making things up. It's not made up. And someone else will go, oh, nice one, thanks. So you're telling me the pain I've had for 10 years is all in my head. Very nice, thanks for that. No, that's not what I'm saying. Pain is very real. And just because I'm saying it's in your head, just because I'm saying it's in your brain doesn't mean it's in your head. It's not a fake thing that you've made up. It's very real, and it's often a signal that something needs to change and that we do need to take action. We don't even have pain receptors in our body. We have something called nociceptors. Down here you can see nociception. And the reason I put it on this weird little slide is because you've got some cells that go, oh, pressure, deep pressure. I'm getting a deep tissue massage right now. You've got others that are like, I think you're going into an ice bath. Others that are like, you're getting your nails done at the nail salon. You're like, got the little massage vibrator chair. Others that are just sensing touch. And then others, you know, when you're getting a good scalp massage and you feel your hair going all crazy, you don't care because it feels amazing. You also have cells that just sense threat, okay? Just sense threat. They are not sending messages of pain. This is a really important distinction. They convey messages of threat, as I've said, and I just want to kind of get you guys to take a little look at all of these, because I used to be this. Tell me if you're the same. I'm going to open the chat box real quick. Tell me if you guys did this. We had a student come to us going, oh, I've got neck pain today. And the first thing I always did, let me get in there. Let me get in there and break up the knots. Does anyone else do that? Yes, are you guys guilty of this? First thing you do is you see someone in pain and you're like, I know what to do. I'm going to give you a deep tissue massage. But you are only stimulating one receptor. And for some people, that is going to reduce their threat. And for other people, it's not going to help them, and it might spike their threat. In fact, some therapists that I've studied under, say that sometimes the lightest touch can remove someone's pain because they have a deficit of a certain receptor. Does that make sense? I'm going to go over this again later. Yeah. So hopefully this is giving you, again, a little bit of a broader perspective on how to help some people with pain. You can't stare yourselves blind at one type of treatment modality that likely works for you and you think is amazing, and therefore it's good for everyone. It's just not how it works. It's very reductionist in approach, which is what we're all trying to get away from, right? So why would the brain choose pain? I mean, it's this complex evolution and nature is so perfect in all of its expression. Why would it create pain? Why? Guys, people who are born with this weird thing that they can't feel pain die young. And as a physio working with amputees, you know what some people came in with? Gangrene. Because they're diabetic, they lose sensation in their extremities. They're walking along, they stub their toe. They don't feel it. How much do we scream when we stub our toe, right? Ah! It's actually a good thing. Be proud of that pain. Because these people don't feel they've hurt their foot, gangrene sets in, and they have to get their limbs amputated. It's crazy how important pain is. So next time you stub your toe, be happy. But of course, before we can look at this answer, let's look at how the brain actually works. I'm going to give you guys 3 steps next. Get ready with your pen and paper. You got 3 steps. Step number 1. The brain takes in information. Tell me in the chat box, what is exteroception? What is exteroception? Can anyone write? Does anyone know? The 5 senses. Ray, spot on. Yeah, it's our 5 senses. Sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. So the first thing your brain is taking in is your 5 senses. The second, it's your perception of the outside world. Martina is on it. Second is your interoception. How hungry you are. Do you need the toilet? Are you feeling a bit warm right now? This is how you feel it. Yeah, your heartbeat. It's just how you're feeling inside your body. And then we have our proprioception, which is, am I sitting with a tall spine listening to Sally go gassing away? Am I a little bit slouchy? I'm tired. I'm a bit hungover. Whatever. Your brain knows what shape your body is in. The second step is interpretation. You hear something for the first time. Hola, ¿qué tal? And you forget about these words for the rest of your life until eventually you end up in Spain and you're on holiday and someone's like, hola, ¿qué tal? And you're like, I know these words. I've heard them before. I can recognize it. Hello, how are you? You straight away kind of twig it because you've heard it and you're assimilating it. Well, in a much, much, much more complex way, the brain's doing the same. It's taking information from your eyes, from your taste buds, and then it's feeling, are you hungry? And then, ooh, I'm actually doing yoga now. That's what my proprioception's telling me. And it starts to make sense of the world. Now, it then has to make a prediction. Is this person ready to learn a backflip? They're cognitively thinking about it. Let's see, is my human ready to learn a backflip? Well, their eyes are quite weak because they've been staring at a screen for a long time. And they had long COVID, which means their interoception is not very good at the moment. And they're hypermobile, which means their proprioception is not very good. So the interpretation, and even if all those things coming in are clear, maybe there's been a car accident. A lot of people have had car accidents, big whiplash, which means now the brain isn't interpreting the information very well. It then has to choose an output. If the input is unclear and the interpretation is unclear, will the output be empowering or disempowering? Yeah, dis. Absolutely right, Daniela. It's not going to be, let's go for a backflip. This person's ready. Okay, and this is why we have to remember that we have to not just look at, oh, I want to get better at splits. Let me stretch my hamstrings. Let me stretch my quads. Maybe you actually have to improve the sensory component of these muscles and joints. Help your brain get a clearer picture of what's happening. Maybe actually your eyes are needing a bit of support. So maybe we need to actually work our vision a little bit. Maybe you feel unsteady and unstable. Maybe we should work on your balance so that when you're in the pose, your brain is like, yeah, I've got all the information I need to keep my human safe. The next thing I wanted to kind of chat box it up is, what would an empowering output be? Kind of just brain fart on me now. What would empowering output be? Donna's already said one. Splits. Yeah, more range of motion. Controlled range of motion. What would another empowering output be? What if I'm an athlete? What would be useful is being way stronger. Yes. What else could be useful for me as an athlete? Endurance. Excellent. What about if I'm an Olympic athlete and I am doing track and I need to do a 100-meter sprint? I need to be a lot more than someone else. Faster, yes. What if I'm a high jumper? I need to be able to jump higher. So we've got all these outputs, but even being calm and relaxed. and having ecstatic energy, elastic energy, and I thought you just meant ecstatic energy, that too, being energized in your body, being focused, mental strength, I think of myself struggling at school, and I honestly think that the reason I struggled so much is those two inputs and interpretation is why I struggled with maths, reading, and writing so much. So cognitively, I've improved so much since I've been looking at my body as a holistic mechanism. What are some disempowering outputs? What are some disempowering outputs? Stress. Weakness. Making that person weak. Because if they're stiff and weak and in pain and tired, what are you going to do if you those three things? Are you going to go run a marathon? Stiff, in pain, weak and exhausted, you're going to go to bed. And in bed, are you very safe or in a lot of danger? Yeah, you are in the most safe place in the world, your home, your big soft duvet, you got your best favorite pillows. And so disempowering outputs can be pain, weakness, reduced range of motion, nausea, anxiety, fatigue. This is just naming a few. A lot of you guys jumped into the chat box and said a range of others, and you are correct. The brain will choose those things to hold you in a safe place. It doesn't care if you're thriving or just surviving. It wants to keep you safe. So let's do this. I want us to hit the mat real quick. And I want you to check your forward fold a couple of times. Check your forward fold a couple of times. Warming it up, not being too aggressive with it. Just kind of sensing how you're doing your forward folds. That's it. Nice. And then after you've done a couple of forward folds and you're like, yeah, that's my max right there. I can't do any more. Let's do a couple of little standing back bends. Just gain a sense of how they're feeling today. Nice simple movement. And then after you've done a few of these and you kind of have a sense of where your body says no more, let's get you to try a couple of twists. And again, we're warming up so that you're pretty clear on what your maximum is. Good. Now I want you to remember that pain, remember this is a workshop about pain and injury rehab, is an output much like range of motion. So we can actually use range of motion to check how people are doing. So now that you've done your test and you've got an idea of how bendy you are forward and back and with rotation, I want you to close your eyes and take your palm, like this, over your eyes and seal off any light, making it completely dark. And I want you to imagine your eyes are looking for the darkness. And maybe you see some flashes or some flickers, but ultimately, those are slowly starting to become less as you breathe slowly and start to relax. And hopefully the darkness is a bit more powerful now for the first few seconds. And even though your eyes are closed, you're imagining seeking out the darkness. And we're going to be here another 10. And then I want you to take your hands away and go back to the same spot and just see how's forward fold, how's extension, whoa, and how's rotation. We only did one quick little 30-second thing. Talk to me. For me, it was a change. It doesn't have to be a change for you. You might be like, yeah, I didn't have any change. That's okay. It's not the right thing for your brain to reduce threat. For me, it was like crazy. Yeah, guys, we did one 30-second visual reset. It was, for some people, quite amazing. For other people, don't worry. Maybe you need longer. Maybe the dosage was too low. Okay, cool. Yeah, wait, what just happened? Guys, what did just happen? Well, this is where pain neuroscience gets so interesting. See, the brain wants to keep you safe, and it's got all this information coming at it, and then it's interpreting it, and then it chooses an output, and it's like, oh, but hang on, my human's not safe. I'm not going to make it do anything new. I'm going to give it pain as an output. Stiffness. Oh, no, you're never going to do a backflip in your life. It chooses an output based on how safe it's feeling. We can reduce that threatening thing going on in your brain. And that's what we just did with the visual reset. Your eyes are such a powerful part of your brain. You're taking in so much information. We reduced your brain's threat a little bit, just with a quick little 30-second reset, and suddenly your brain is like, I'm safe. I can give them a bit more. Is that making incredibly vague sense right now? I'm going to give you more context as we keep moving on. Yes, ma'am. All right, Claire, thanks, my darling. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, and like I said, maybe that wasn't the right drill for you. We're going to do a couple of others. And we're going to see what's right for you. But in the meantime, I want you to imagine a bucket. Z Health taught me this. They taught me so much. And this analogy is so clever. Who has ever turned up at your client or in a class, and someone in your class has had, it's a Monday, they had a bit of a binge drinking session over the weekend, and they had a little bit too little sleep. Bucket fills up with a bit of threat. They had a hanging day on the sofa, so they ate loads of low nutrient food. Bucket fills up a little bit. Their partner came home, and lo and behold, on a hangover, we always argue with our partners. Bucket fills up a little bit. And then you realize, Monday, I hate my job. Bucket fills up a little bit. And then you're like, you know what? The one good thing I'm going to do with my day is going to go yoga. And you do a hard class with loads of chaturangas. Bucket overflows. Brain cannot keep you safe in chaturangas, and it overflows. And you know what you get? Shoulder pain. You end up with this terrible shoulder. And you know what we've done in all of our infinite wisdom, because people have pain in shoulders because they do yoga, is we tell them there's only one right way of doing chaturanga, and you're not doing it. You're shifting too far back. You're shifting too far forwards. You're not going to a perfect 90 degree, going lower. That is not allowed. Guys, this is crazy. Have you seen athletes doing push-ups? In CrossFit, if the chest doesn't touch the ground, it's not a correct push-up. Their shoulders are great. Yes, they have got injuries like everyone, but it's not because of push-ups. Okay, push-ups basic. It's a basic movement. If you shift forward, that's bad for your shoulders. Have you seen people do planche? They're in a plank on their hands. Their feet are hovering off the ground. They have to shift forward. Oh, shifting back is bad. Why? There's so many different ways of doing the same movement. Guys, take off your blinkers. This person developed pain, maybe because of their biomechanics, but maybe because their bucket was so full. I see mums and their kids on Instagram doing yoga together, and it's cute because the mum's got this perfect form and the kid is like, has anyone seen these little kids? They're like, they're doing all the wrong stuff. They're fine, they're great. Their buckets are not full of threat. So understand that pain is not always because of your technique. Please, let's stop being the technique police and realize there's more to the conversation. Now, this can be very inspiring. Wow, I'm so holistic in the way I view my people, but also frustrating because, man, where do you even begin? Okay, I want to flag that I appreciate this is like a double-edged sword. What we're going to do is do a little brainstorm on things that you can do practically with your people to help them reduce their threat levels. Okay, we're going to work together. And your mantra is always going to be, how can I reduce their threat? That might mean looking at their biomechanics and their technique, but it might mean that actually doing that many chaturangas is too threatening for the person, okay? The first thing that I want us to cover, which I think is probably one of the most important, is how we speak to people. Oh man, if you look at the information that's out there. We are planting seeds inside people's heads, telling them their joints are fragile and weak, and that if they do technique with just this or that, they're going to compress their spine and their shoulders are going to completely disintegrate. Am I right? Have you guys heard this? Do you hear people saying this stuff? All the time. I hear it all the time. Oh, why should you not do this and this in chaturanga? Oh, because you're going to hurt your shoulders. Like, it's not fair to put everybody in the same camp with the same technique. We're all different. So I want you to be a little bit mindful of that. Be the change, because I guarantee you I have been a massive part of the problem, and I'm now having to revisit how I work with people and what I say. And I had this guy come up to me where I was at a festival last weekend. Bless him. He was like, I heard you're a physio. Can I just lend an ear for a moment? I was like, of course. Tell me, what's going on? He said, well, you know, my mum's 85 and she's going in for a hip replacement. I was like, oh my gosh, is she okay? He's like, yeah, but it's actually me I'm worried about. He's like, I have a click. Now my hip clicks every time I move it, and there's a little tiny numb spot right there. And I was like, how old are you? And he said, I'm 48. I'm like, you look bloody amazing for 48. I thought you were 38. He's like, really? I'm like, you're in excellent shape. What do you do for a living? He's like, I'm a painter decorator. I'm like, oh my God, you move all day, don't you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you must be so strong. And I said, trust me, there are millions of people with a click and it doesn't hurt and it never turns into anything. Does yours hurt? No. But what about my little spot that's numb? I said, well, numbness is related to nerves, right? Because nerves feed sensation to and from and movement to and from. So I bet one of the nerves is maybe entrapped a little bit. It's so easy to sort this out. I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. What I used to do, empaths, tell me if this is you. Oh, I'm so sorry you have to go through this. Oh, a click. Oh. Guys, we are adding to the problem because your brain works on a predictive mechanism. It's trying to predict the future. Now you're telling it over and over that if you do something in a certain way, you're definitely going to injure yourself. What if you by accident do that thing because you're playing with your kids? Brain gives you pain. I've been told this is wrong. This is how powerful this stuff is. If you are someone who experiences pain a lot, watch how you interact with people with pain, because you dial up theirs. Dial your reactions down and empower people with your language. Last thing, confidence goes a bloody long way. They did studies and they were like, what gets people better? Is it how educated the person is? Is it the techniques? Confidence. The more confident people were getting results. So I want to encourage you to be confident, because give me a thumbs up or a hell yeah if you've walked into a class, you've given your best, guys, you've prepared, you've got your playlist, you've woken up early to be there, and you walk in and maybe you're covering and people are like, oh. Or you're teaching a new group for the first time and they're like, doesn't it wear us down a bit? And we start to question ourselves and we're like, maybe I'm not what I think I am. Like, maybe all that preparation was a waste. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. It's very hard. And being a yoga teacher is exceptionally challenging because you are dealing with all these different people's perception of what they think is good. Let me tell you what they think is good. Someone who walks in, freaking badass, hair flick, and they're like, this is my class, and you can like it or you can leave. Like that kind of attitude, don't maybe be that sassy because you don't want to put people off. But what I'm saying is that level of confidence, that's actually what's going to help people. So I want you to be confident, especially with whatever camp you're in, whatever knowledge you have, be proud, guys. It's very, very cool. It's very cool what you've learned with your life and what you're doing. Let's have a quick shakeout. Head to the mat. Don't look at the screen. Just do some weird, funky moves. Just to kind of not be too serious the whole time. Shake your bum, shake your hands. Do a little neck roll. Big breath into your nose. How are we feeling? Let's do a little brainstorm together. Reducing threat on the mat. What can we do to reduce threat on the mat? Why don't we brainstorm together? What are you already doing now? What are you already doing with people that's helping them? Breathing, yes. Humor, Anya, you babe for saying that. Shavasana, yes. Meditation, props, laughing, shake, shake, shake. Absolutely. Having a laugh, not being too serious. Nature cues, music. Oh my God, yes, music. Quotes, yeah, something inspiring. You guys are so clever. Laughing when someone farts. It's probably me doing the farting. Giving options. Guys, look how amazing the things are that you're already doing. I want you to be so proud of yourselves. This was my little brain fart on the things we're doing, and you guys have added to this list massively. But my little thing that I thought of quickly was breathing is a big one. So much research. Mindfulness is a big one. Again, plethora of quality peer-reviewed papers out there. We've also got novel movements, self-compassion, and of course the that is vagal stuff, reducing threat and actually helping people with inflammation. Let's run through a couple of other fun ones. Dosage. Quick story and then we'll try something. I had this lady the other day who swears she had SI dysfunction. I was like, okay, fair enough. How's your pain today? She's like, weirdly good. I don't know what it is. I'm normally in a lot of pain, but today I'm good. I said, okay, let's use, what do you struggle with in your practice? She said, forward folds. I really struggle with forward folds. So I was like, okay, let's try this. So we're going to do it together as if I'm doing it with her. So head to the mat. Let's check out our forward folds a few times. We did a warm up. We had a sense of how that feels. Fantastic. I then said to her, your thoracic spine, let's do some anterior, posterior glides. All that means is like a little slow motion body pop. We're moving those joints of your upper back. We did like 20 seconds of this. We retested. Da, 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 da. She was like, nah, no change. I was like, no problem, let's try something else. Side to side glides. We tried with arms up. We tried with hands here. She was like, okay, yeah, this is good, this is good. I was like, retest. Off we went. She was like, no, nothing. I said, no problem. Let's try up the dosage. So we did circles. We did like 10 in one direction. We'll speed up just because time is not on our side. And then we did like 10 on the other. And then we went back to the mat and we tried again. And this happened to her face. She went like this. Like she was gobsmacked. How? What just happened? And I'm like, we just found the right dosage for you. So dosage can either be how we do as yoga teachers. We read the room. Oh, they're looking tired. I need to tone it down a bit. Or it can actually be this person has pain and has some kind of output that is unfavorable. Let's up the dosage. Okay, there's both. Look for threat signals. Remember your mantra? How can I reduce threat? If they're on the mat and doing this, or look for these threat signals coming into their body, try and reduce that, and if they can't, the dosage is too high. Okay, especially if you're working with people in pain and people with injuries, we need to keep threat low. Now, variety. In Surya Namaskar A, you tell me, what are our main moving joints? I'll move it and you guys can jump into the chat box. Which joints are doing the most moving? Which joints are doing the most moving? Shoulders and hips, shoulders and hips, shoulders and hips, shoulders and hips, shoulders and hips. Are these very complex joints? Or are they, they're There's other more complicated ones. Would you say they're like very complicated? Yeah, shoulders. How many joints do shoulders have? How many joints does shoulders have? Go on, have a punt. You guys are switched on. Shoulder has 4 joints, which is fairly complicated, but it's not the most complicated. It's complicated in a sense, but hands, there's a lot more going on. Feet, look at that. That's mental, how much is happening. I know there is a little bit of thoracic spine in a vinyasa, but mostly it's hips and shoulders. Thoracic spine, so many little tiny connections. So when you are thinking of adding in variety, think of these areas of the body. How much do we really explore movements of the hands, the thoracic spine, and the feet, like really, really explore in our practice? Yes, floating shoulder blades is the 4th joint. You're absolutely right, Donna. Yeah, we don't do... Okay, Almut's like, girl, I'm like way ahead. But in general, guys, in the yoga world, we don't tend to move these joints as much with the complexity and the variety that they have. So especially if you teach a set sequence, have you ever noticed students in the beginning are like, whoo, progress, and then they plateau? Has anyone found the plateau? Has anyone noticed the plateau? Yes. Oh my God, I was the biggest Ashtangi you've ever met in your life 10 years ago. And I got so good, and then I just stopped progressing. If you do the variety within your set sequence, trust me, the variety reduces your brain's threat. You are gonna start progressing big time. So we're gonna look into that in a little bit more detail in a second. Let's whiz through the last 2, which is props. Now, I want you to go to the mat, and I want you to get your 2 blocks and put them side by side. And if you don't have blocks, 2 chairs will do. So just something to hold on to. You're not going to touch the blocks. You're going to try and go into the splits, not obviously majorly, because remember, you, sorry about that. You're not warm, so just be mindful, okay? Don't go crazy. But just feel, where does your body go? No, that's enough, thank you very much. Okay, when you're like, yeah, that's it, Sally. Put your hands on the blocks and notice what happens. Now, again, not everything works for everyone, but I have in my experience noticed you reduce someone's threat when you tell the brain you are safe. And I teach every Monday live, online, and we always do a Q&A at the end, and we were doing loads of Skandasana side squats. And at the end in the Q&A, one of the ladies was like, I really tried with a side squat, Cell, but my knee was killing me. I said, what number is your pain? She was like, oh, it's like an 8. I was like, okay, let's try the side to side, but holding on to something. So she went side to side, and I said, what number was your pain on? She went, it dropped down a lot, at like a 2. I said, okay, let's try something else to hold on to that's a little bit more like this door handle, so it's a little bit more solid. And again, she dropped down, no pain. I said, now do your side-to-side squats, not holding on, not touching it, but have your hands just near it. And her pain stayed at a 0. Sometimes the thought process, I am safe, I have something in case I'm not safe, goes a long way in terms of helping people reduce pain. Now, what are our 2 fuel sources for the brain? Can anyone remember what 2 things do we need to take in? Sophie, the class is going to be another 30 minutes, I reckon. Yeah, maybe even less than that, to be honest with you. Glucose, excellent, and oxygen. So you're right to say breath, but Tony, sometimes people can breathe a lot and they're not actually giving their brain oxygen because they're releasing so much carbon dioxide. So actually, one of the ways to increase oxygen absorption, is to hold your breath. Let's do this together. Head to the mat. And I want you to measure how high can you lift your knee up to your chest. And measure it, how far away it is from your nipples. Be like, yeah, I'm kind of just under it. We're going to do an air hunger drill. You're going to inhale through your nose. You're going to exhale through your nose. You're going to hold your breath and squat. Fast. When your brain goes breathe, you stop. One more. Recheck. Yes. For me, not for everyone out there, but for me a little bit better. And I'm reducing the brain's threat. I'm adding a little bit of fuel to my brain. And that's one way. There are many ways. But if you are someone who's struggling in your classes, it could be that they also need glucose. And we have this weird thing, you can't eat 3 hours before your practice. Sometimes you need that glucose. It helps reduce your brain's threat, and it actually helps reduce your pain. So maybe eat a grape or have a sip of juice. Don't be afraid of that. Guys, can you let me know if this is helpful so far? Yeah. On the exhale, my love, so you breathe in, you breathe out. When you get to the end of your out breath, you hold. Okay, amazing. Okay, you guys are loving it. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure that we're on track together. We are nearly there, all right? The last little section has got 3 points to it. So, the most important thing one of the most important things that we can do to reduce your brain's threat is improve the mapping of the joints, like mobility stuff that you hear all the time, and also the sensation of these areas. And I just wanted to reiterate this. Yes, we need to work on people's motor function, but we also want to improve people's sensory understanding of where their body is. Proprioception lives in the brain. It is not in your joints. That is a lie. Proprioception lives in the brain. And the way we improve proprioception is A, through movement. We improve the mapping of all of this stuff that you see here. And B, of your sensation. And we have more sensation out there than just deep tissue. We've got more sensation than just deep tissue. Please remember, hot, cold, vigorous rubbing, tapping, sharp pinpricks, all of these receptors can help your brain form a picture of where it is in space, and it can improve your proprioception. Got it? Second thing, joint-rich areas. Feet, hands, and the thoracic spine are incredibly well mapped in your brain. Okay, they're incredibly well mapped in the brain. They've got this huge real estate space. But when do we actually explore the complexities? Not very often. So let's do this. Head to your mat and maybe check something that's unrelated. Maybe we'll do twists. Some of you guys didn't have good results with a twist. So let's check out twists again. And let's see, wherever your body goes, that's enough. And then we're going to do a little bit of hand stuff. So let's curl our fingers in and then like open them out like a firework for 5. You can do it with both hands actually. And then our firework is going to go, ugh, and then you're going to curl it in. Ugh, And then fingertips trying to stay in contact with palms for as long as possible. Good. So all those little joints are getting a chance to wake up. Now we're going to do circles on the wrist. We do these for wrist warm-ups. But what about making it a little more challenging and just moving the wrists on their own? Right? In up and down, side to side, or a circle. So we're starting to change how your brain relates to the movement. So instead of it being a hand circle, it's now a wrist circle. See if you can do a few of those. And if it's too complicated, you go back to up and down or side to side. Remember, dosage can actually make you regress if it's too much or too little. And then let's do 20 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's head back to our spot. And see. For me, I got a little bit further doing some neural stimulation of a part of my brain that occupies massive space. Yes, and Devi, if it's painful, it means maybe your brain is sensing a threat of movements of your hands. And imagine that. Imagine that your hands are so important to move in all of the different ways because you want to maintain that into old age. So work it now, but without pain. Pain immediately reduced in my sacroiliac joint. Thank you for sharing that. I rest my case. I'm going to end the webinar. Guys, last one is context matters. Oh, I wanted you to see these little slides. Nothing major. Context matters. So if you are working with a boxer or a professional dancer, you need to understand anatomy because you can't tell them that all posture needs to be a certain way. It depends, right? It depends on what their unique needs are. So I want you to, again, view people with a far more open lens than you have done to date. But all of this is just the beginning, right? Because let's be honest, the camps, there are many camps. I've just given you a few little strategies in this camp, but we need to look ahead to where are we and where are we going? And there are 3 things I want you to leave with today. 1, please approach the body holistically. Take off your blinkers. Where is the threat? Empower people. Know that your words carry so much more weight. And if you can not diminish what they're going through, but rather tell them that it's just one tiny moment and they're going to get through it, it's going to help people. And then have your mantra, how can I reduce threat? Now, some of my students that actually went through this content, they had a lot of success. And Meg wrote to me shortly after learning all this stuff, and she was like, honestly, it was just so mind-blowing. And she maybe was a bit stagnant before, but then after she got going with it, she said it was just like being completely revitalized. So Meg, thank you so much for sharing your kind words with me and with everyone. And at the moment, guys, you've got 2 choices. You can either kind of stagnate and stick with where you've been going and what you've been doing, or I know it's challenging to implement, maybe it's a bit scary, maybe you've got to overcome your imposter syndrome, but step into this mindset of growth. And that's why, big celebration, 3 years of work. Finally, I'm launching my anatomy course, and it might be the right thing for you to take you on your journey through the little camps. And how I've done it is little mini bite-sized pieces of information, so it's not so overwhelming that you can't implement stuff and start using them, because that's really where the magic starts happening. So I want to take this time to just cover all the different things that are involved in the course. First of all, we are going to cover university level anatomy, biomechanics, and also functional neurology. There's over 28 hours of content in the videos. And I want to take you guys through a Zoom coaching program. So you're definitely going to understand step by step what content we're covering, where the gaps are in your knowledge, and how you can start to implement stuff so you get success. There's also a comprehensive manual. And instead of it being this huge PDF that we just kind of dump into your inbox, we've split it up and we've related it to each video. So it's really easy to kind of navigate what you're doing and what information you're supposed to work on now. I'm also going to throw in 2 months on the Anatomove app. This is my app I created. And the reason I made it is we learn anatomy and we move it straight away. So it's not this vague thing that's outside of your head, but actually applicable. There's going to be a private WhatsApp group. You're going to be connected to me 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. Lucky you, unlucky you. And we're going to have connections so that you are able to ask questions and to figure out, how can I move forward? There's going to be a study buddy system. I don't know about you, but I don't like studying on my own, and I find it hard to get through things unless I know I'm going to have that phone call with my mates. And finally, there's a little calendar. And the calendar tells you each day which videos to watch, and at the end of the week, what you need to have covered. And in doing so, you're like, yeah, I can get through this course. It's not going to be just something else that you get and then that's it. You're unable to finish. Now, if you had to go and get all these different elements from lots of different places, it's very challenging and it can work out super expensive. And for me personally, when I started just this last 3 years increasing the amount of knowledge that I was working on, guys, it was so expensive. I've spent over £9,000 in the last 3 years, and I've included a lot of that information in this course. The videos are worth 400, the weekly Zoom calls 600, the comprehensive manual 50, and the Anatomove app is worth 40. But I didn't even put a numerical value on the last 3 because, guys, they are invaluable. They are actually what's going to get you to finish the course. So they're super important. Now, obviously, if I had to add up all these numbers, it's very expensive. It gets to over 10,000. I'm going to make you guys an offer today, and it's nowhere near that. To get all of this and to work with me, you're going to pay $995, but I'm only taking 15 people because I want you guys to have one-on-one support. And if I have, like, you see these teacher trainings with 200 people, it's not my style. I want the groups to be small and manageable, and we have contact with each other regularly. Nelly's just going to drop the link if any of you guys are curious to look up what all the components are. The whole course is kind of mapped out on the little link that she's going to drop into the chat box now. I have another offer that I'm going to share with you, but before I do, I just want to tell you about, she's now one of my best friends, but she started out doing yoga and anatomy with me. And she's so sweet. She actually hated her job in the fashion industry, and she was desperate to make the transition away from fashion and into yoga, just teaching. And she managed to make the transition, guys. And she said, Sal, honestly, being able to understand bodies helped me have so much more confidence, because before my world was fashion. So to make that switch from the corporate world was very challenging for her. And she said it just gave her that confidence. So thanks, Belly. Thanks for your amazing testimonial, my love. Just a reminder, there's only 15 spaces. But of course, maybe, guys, over almost 4,000 of you guys signed up to this call. So if you prefer studying at your own pace, 1,000,000%, I'm going to give you an option for that as well. You can get all the videos and the manual and the calendar and all the knowledge, the university level knowledge, and I'm going to do it for $595, but I'm actually going to run a 72-hour sale for $495. So please take advantage of that in the next 3 days if this is right for you. The link is in the chat box. Do click on that now if you want to take a closer look at what's going on. I'm going to send you an email with all the information. So if right now you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, don't worry. The information's coming your way. You're going to take your time, you're going to digest, and you're going to figure out if this is going to be the right thing for you. And I'm always there for you, answering lots of questions. You can email me or WhatsApp me. If any of you have English as a second language, or Nella has English as her second language, and she actually said to me, I wish I had this at my 200-hour. What a difference it would have made. So again, big kiss to you, Nelly. Thank you for your hard work and your help. Guys, I'm going to also throw in one more thing. It's a big bonus. If you had to get all of my workshops separately, they usually come to £720 a year because I only give people 3 months access. I'm going to give you lifetime access for free. So it's another beautiful bonus. This amazing lady, Zainab, she did all my stuff. And she was just like, it's about getting those really complex things feeling crystal clear. So thank you, my love. Thank you for your kind words. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not feeling it, please don't worry. I'll just refund you straight away. Guys, I'm going to open the floor. I know there's 5 Q&A questions that have come in. I'm going to take a look at those. It can be about the course. You can ask me about the content. I haven't answered many questions, and I want to tell you that I am here for you guys if you have anything that you want me to cover. So we are starting in nearly, was it October? My brain has gone suddenly, and I can't remember the exact start date, but you get the content instantly. And then every Thursday night, for 6 weeks, we're going to meet up. How can we be in contact with you? I'm going to drop my email into the chat box as well. And then, guys, celeste.pereira@gmail.com. Email me any questions you have. How is this different from a teacher training? Teacher trainings are 200 hours, 300 hours, and they have to cover a lot of different topics. This is just anatomy. So if you're not sure on how many joints of the shoulder there are, what muscles move them, what are some of the contraindications, what are some of the injuries that we need to rehab people from, that is going to be a place for you to go to understand human bodies. And it's just going to give you that little bit of extra confidence when you're actually working with people. Roya, this course will be available in the future. I know you have a baby right now, so this is not the right time for you. Absolutely. It's just that I'm not going to keep it open forever. So I'm going to open the chance for you guys to join for 2 weeks. And then it'll be gone for a few months because I want to check in with people. Even if you don't take the more advanced option, I need the energy and the time to go and check in with people and make sure that you guys are like, oh, okay, I'm up to date with what's going on here, there, and I'm struggling with this. Maybe there's some videos that you're like, I need more information. I need to go away and shoot those videos. I need space, and so I don't just want to open it forever. It's the same month you're doing the training with Adele. It's basically, we're on the weekends, and this will be a Thursday night, okay? So I think we start middle of October, and we go through to the end of November, Thursday nights, doing our Q&A coaching sessions. Sophie, 100%. My love, I don't have dates yet, but it is going to be around in the future, my darling. Okay, very good question, Milu. Do you know anything about high sensitive people and how their brains react different? Milu, this is why assessment is so important. One of my clients, the worst pain, chronic pain you can imagine, and she was told she had a weak core. This poor girl, man, she tried so hard. So I did a history with her, and she had 2 car accidents, and that's where things started going wrong for her. And she was this high sensitive brain. We had to be so, remember I taught you about dosage? We had to do the most basic of dosage with her. At one point, we got her to close her eyes and imagine she was doing vestibular drills. And that was testing and retesting her differently. How wild is that? Even her imagining the drill was giving us sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on what her brain preferred. So the answer to your question is yes, but it takes assessment, and that takes time. So I just wanted to flag, it's a little bit more challenging for those people because it's not like, oh, I'm going to learn all the stuff. So yes, the question is, does it include pain rehab strategies? It does include pain rehab strategies, and often knowing the anatomy, you can then start applying some of the principles I taught you in this workshop straight away to people because you understand what's going on with people. How to map things out and how to improve their sensory components. I'm not going to go fully into neurology yet because it might not be the camp that you are in. Okay, that's more my training with Adele. That's going to be the neurology stuff that's happening in October. What was the free courses you just mentioned? Okay, Alba, I have workshops that I sell. These are my best-selling workshops. Anatomy of Breath, Bendy Brain, Core Values, and one I haven't reviewed called the Anatomy Review. And these I give people 3-month access for £45. So if you had to buy all of these for 1 year, it costs you £720 per year. You'll get all of these for lifetime access. Guys, these workshops are so valuable. I put my heart and soul into them. Have you successfully decreased pain levels in people who had a stroke using these drills? I haven't used the drills on people with strokes yet. I'm quite keen to see if maybe I could manifest a stroke patient in my cohort. That would be amazing because it would be great to test. However, I do know other people who have, and they've gotten incredible results. I know traumas have a huge effect on the nervous system, especially pain and stiffness. How can I work with that? And does psychological and physical trauma have the same effect? Chantel, you can't separate things. It's all in a big muddy mess together, which is why someone like me who doesn't have psychological training, I refer people. I tell them, are you getting counseling? Are you working with a psychologist? And to answer the first part of your question, it's the stuff that we covered today. And it's the stuff that I've covered in previous free workshops that I've done. So it's not even about buying my courses. Even all my Instagram is about helping people rehab if you have had previous traumas. So go through my free content, my YouTube channel, this content again, and of course you can always write to me. Would there be another payment option for someone like me who's going to pay in Turkish lira? The exchange rate is too much, I know. Utkan, it's so scary at the moment. I can't right now give you any promises. Let me see how things go because I've invested thousands into creating this course and I basically just need to recoup my costs. But when things start changing, I'll probably end up opening up some, scholarships for people. Can I buy one and get lifetime access? No, this is not possible. It's either rental or this course, okay? Because I personally, there's so much value in there. It's not the way I'm gonna do things. Do you have experience with people who suffer from fibromyalgia? I do indeed, and it's again the same thing, it's all about threat reduction. The bonus courses are included if you do the self-paced version. Yes, the bonuses are included for both, so if you don't want to go ahead and do the coaching calls, absolutely you don't have to. You are welcome to get all the bonuses, they're there for everyone. Can we please take only one workshop and have access? Oh, sorry, I already answered that. My apologies. Okay, I'm going to switch over now to this. Okay, will we get the slides? Yes, Nelly's actually going to drop the slides now into the chat box for you guys with the references, and that's for you guys who are here live with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also for those of you who stay to the end. Okay, it's quite late here. You will get a recording, of course, my darling. I have a complex regional syndrome after an injury with my hand due to the radius dislocation and make surgery after so long and sessions, I still have a year with pain. It's all about threat reduction, and it might be that we don't want to rehab the hand specifically, but we need to look at how your brain is processing information, Esra, and that is, again, that's assessment time, so it's a little bit more complicated. Alex is asking a question that doesn't have context right now. I apologize, Alex, that was a little earlier you asked. Okay, in your experience with breath holding exercises, do you find that it can sometimes, of course, increase threat? Fran, yes, everything can increase threat. It's about dosage. So some people, some things are going to work for. Other people, no, terrible idea. It's unique to each and every person. How do these courses fit with the functional neurology training you are running in October with Adele? Lucy, fantastic question. Remember the camps? Here's Adele and me, functional neurology. This is the step before, because here you're getting your foundational knowledge. What are the joints of the wrist? What are the muscles that control the hands? How can I breathe properly. All of the foundational knowledge is going to be here. And then when you're like, I got this, then you're going to work with the functional neurology training that Adele and I are running. Do we get a certificate at the end? Yes, you will get a certificate at the end, my love, absolutely. The thread point of view is so interesting, yet I feel it's difficult to find the right middle path. This is really important to listen to. A lot of people are really hurting themselves during yoga. Yes, wrists sprained, knees are forced into lotus, shoulders overworked. How do you find the balance? Because all the things you are saying is overdosing their threat levels. Yes, yoga has got certain things that isn't right for everybody. Everyone's nervous system is unique. Everyone has to learn lotus. No, absolutely not. If it spikes your threat, you're going to end up, yes, you can have physical trauma to a joint, of course, and that can be why you get your pain. But it can also be the fact that you as a person have all these other things, all this other stress, and your yoga teacher's yelling at you, and you're being told that if you relax your glutes and back bend, you're going to compress your spine, and then you start getting the injuries. It's multifactorial. It's never just one thing, and that was the purpose of today's workshop. Can you recommend a hypermobility specific workshop? Fran, the Bendy Brain workshop that's given to you for free is perfect for anyone with hypermobility. It's for sale on Hypermobile Yogis if you want to buy the workshop on its own, or you can access it here with this course. There's a lot of information that'll help hypermobile people in this course. How long do we have access to all the content? Forever. All of you, 6 weeks, or the other option, forever. This is your course now, and I'll constantly be updating the information. So as you learn more, you're going to have the opportunity to go, I'm going to write to you guys and be like, I've just updated the wrist video because it's out of date. It's going to be there. It's not going to be one of those courses that I have to keep buying the new thing. Absolutely not. Once you've purchased it, it's yours forever. Okay, so bye, Vera. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, Svenja, the drills in my class once, and I got the response, it's just, hang on, I really want to read your comment. It's just because the first time test round was like a warm-up. Yeah, so of course the second round was better. Yes, dosage. Sometimes once is not enough. It's Teachable, Jenny. She's asking where the classes are hosted. It's on Teachable. I tried a few different ones out, and Teachable's so slick. It's so good. There's little quizzes and everything to make it nice for you guys. So many of you guys are saying thank you, good night, goodbye. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all your kindness. Thalia, wow, I'm so grateful to you for hanging about with me. Hugs from Edinburgh. Kat, thank you, my darling. Wow, thank you guys. Thank you, Naomi and Mary. Thank you, Claire. Thanks, Jenny. Wow, guys, thank you for your good energy and your love. I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you, Karina. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Angelica. Amazing to see you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Marie. All right, my loves, I'm going to end the call now. Thank you for listening to me and for being in my community of awesome people that love learning. I'm so grateful to you guys. I'm going to stop the share now. I'm going to send you the replay. Please message me if you need me.